My first question for you is, what the fuck do you think a few minutes is?
Right.
Good evening, fans. Tim Kitzrow here, the voice of NBA Jam, and you're listening to the GameDev Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by CodeWritePlay.com. Whoa, boom shakalaka!
My mom gave birth in 1985. I was bluer than a Pac-Man ghost, barely alive. In the Cold War, my only blanket was Tetris. I played Rampart with Reagan, rampaged the world for breakfast. The laundromat was my sanctuary, that arcade was my church.
Yeah, like I said, about a month ago, I started walking like a mile to 2 miles a day towards the end of the day, and I was like, okay, I got some time. I could take a quick walk, and I get out there, and you messaged me. I was like, oh crap, and I was like, give me a few, and I didn't realize how far from home I was. whenever I was walking back, I was like, man, I hope he's not going to be bad.
I have been burned by that a few times because we've got Spike now. We've had a dog for a year now,
right?
And I walk him every single day.
Yeah, no, I apologize, man. I have this streak that I'm trying to keep up because I'm trying to drop some weight rather than. You remember I told you about when we went to Chuckwagon about how they were like, oh, you got to check on your blood pressure and all this different stuff, right?
Yeah, back when we went to slam some Tex-Mex and talk about health issues.
It turns out it's not my blood pressure that's the problem. I was going through some like crazy anxiety attacks.
Sure.
And I was like, well, I think that the last time this happened, I walked a lot. And at the same time, I ended up losing weight. And so I started walking, and I've already lost 13 pounds.
Nice.
So, yeah, I changed my diet a little bit. I'm still down for some Chuckwagon anytime.
Okay, so Ray Marek, you've been on the show several times, but you're currently kicking hard with Unparalleled Comics, editor-in-chief in the house, writer extraordinaire. How's it going?
It's good. I don't know. Am I still the editor-in-chief? I think I'm also project supervisor or something like that.
Well, you're going to wear many hats no matter what.
Right now I'm wearing a Cardinals hat.
Yeah. I just took one off. I just got a new one. Nice snapback. Yes, sir.
I'm not a fan of snapbacks. Reynolds loves them. My son, of course.
I'm normally not. I do want to talk about your lovely children and my child also. I've got some kind of random stuff. I thought it'd be fun to sort of talk about some general things in like game development and gaming right now. And I'm curious from your standpoint, like you're not a developer, you're an enthusiast, you like games, you haven't made any, and you're not hanging out on Twitter in like the dev community. So what I'm curious about is how much of what I hear every day you know about. So we'll do a little bit of that, but I've got a list of things because I want to hear first, for example, what are you playing right now? What have you been playing lately? What are you looking forward to playing?
I mean, it'll be boring, but I play a lot of MLB The Show.
That's not boring.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like one of those games that I sit back and relax with. You know what I mean? Like
it's a comfort game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can sit back, and honestly, whenever I have to review a horror movie, I'll put a horror movie on, and then I'll play the show at the same time because I can kind of balance both of them. But I recently dipped back into the Resident Evil franchise.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Reynolds, he's a big gamer, and he's played Resident Evil 2, the remake, 48 times because it keeps track of how many times you played it. Yeah, he's done speed runs of like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, man, I couldn't do 2.5 hours of the original Resident Evil 2.
Right.
Back, in 97, 98. And so I went ahead and downloaded those, and they had Xbox Live had a sale for Resident Evil 5, which was a remaster of the original 360 version. So he and I ran through that and had a great time, had the split screen action with that. Well, it wasn't split screen, but he was on his own TV, and it was fun, man. We had a good time, and it kind of got me back into wanting to play the RE games. So I'm looking forward to digging into 2, which was one of my favorite games of all time, the remake, and then 3. I got both of those, and I tried playing the remake of the original game for Resident Evil couple months ago, and with the stop to shoot, the camera angles, it was like, this is torture. I don't think I can even do it.
Yeah.
because gaming has evolved so much in the last 25, 30 years. But I just recently also started, I'm doing you can't say speed running because it's going to take a couple playthroughs, but I'm kind of speed running through Arkham Asylum, the Batman game, because Reynolds says I know that game backwards and forwards, and I do. So I'm trying to do a speed run to that, and then I'm really looking forward to playing Assassin's Creed game when that comes out, even though there's a lot of backlash on that. And I always play Red Dead too. That game I just pick up whenever I need to be a cowboy. So
You got that urge to go a rambling.
yeah.
Yeah. See, I find that interesting because I'm a little bit like that too. If I'm going to do something, if I'm going to watch something, I need to be playing something also.
Yeah.
It's not great for, well, I mean, you say you're able to review stuff while I'm sure you're giving things a fair shake, but like it helps me to have something going on with my hands.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Like, I can pay attention. Like, I watched Alien Covenant last night, which I have never seen, and I watched the entire movie, and still I played 2 games of baseball. I don't think my mind is in the baseball as much. It's just I am a big multitasker, and I can't also sit still. I can't sit unless I'm in a movie theater and sit there and watch a movie. It's been like that since I can remember. So yeah.
What's funny is you want to talk about backlash. Who was this? I was looking at Judd Apatow's tweets recently, and he was mad when they were, I forget which service it was. I think Netflix was talking about adding like a speed multiplier, like you could control how fast a movie played.
Oh yeah, like YouTube has, yeah.
Right, exactly. Like, which is getting very common, and it's starting to be weird when services don't have that. And this isn't like we design things the way we do for a reason. They have no right to decide how you experience this. And I thought, like, you're lucky if I'm watching the screen, bud. Like, and I like his stuff. I'm a fan of his, and I like his reading, and I've watched his masterclass. You are lucky if I'm not. I've got you on a monitor here, and I've got I just played Galactic Air. All the way through. And that's on the dual monitor thing is exceptional for that because I can pull up, something through Xbox or Steam or whatever on one screen. And I've got to be, doing that if I'm going to watch. It's been a lot of documentaries lately for me.
Oh man.
And game developers I've seen sort of lash out about that also. I don't like that the Switch added Bluetooth. I don't think you should use Bluetooth headphones. It hurts the quality, and I designed my sound a certain way. So, and to that person, I said, "You're probably muted over here, bud. I'm sorry." Like you would. I love my composer friends, my musician friends. I will check out your soundtrack separately, but you should be glad I'm there. And I think that's honestly where everybody should be. Like, you should be glad someone's consuming your content and take anything you can get because we're not doing it the way you want. Almost never. But
see, I mean, I'm on social media, but I stay away from the X sphere of everything.
I should. Man.
I don't really. Ever since Elon Musk took over, I actually canceled my Twitter completely. No excretions for me.
I'm going to change the shade of my light here because I look like. You know what I look like? I look like Charlie Day when he does the Dayman musical. Like he's got like weird powdered in the middle of his face and like kind of red around. I'm trying to fix that. That's
softer.
I look insane, right?
Do you? I don't know. I think I look like I could be a serial killer in this dark room. What's behind me?
Okay, that's a little better.
Plus, I got my ring light shining right in my glasses.
Oh, you know what it is? I got a little bit sunburned today playing golf.
Did you? Mm.
So I look like an animated corpse, right?
Being in the elements that'll get you.
Holy crap! Yeah, I should stay away from X because I'm there for game development stuff for that community to promote and to connect and to now for a certain amount for podcast stuff too, but. I will run my mouth on occasion, and I'm so used to it never being seen. The algorithm is just brutal now. Like, if you don't have 50,000 followers to begin with, you will literally have like maybe 20, maybe 30 people see a tweet, and then it goes into the void. So I get comfortable thinking like I can say anything I want. Yeah. So while Musk was talking to Trump last night, they were having audio issues, and I said, And all of Trump's S's, you've probably seen this in the news by now. All of his S sounds sounded like this. And I said, this interview sounds like Elon is trying to put his grandfather's dentures back in.
Yeah.
And his grandfather won't shut up to let him do it.
It almost made it sound like he was setting Trump up for failure, but
the fire of a million conservatives came down upon me overnight. That I showed you like halfway through what the stats were like. Suddenly, tens of thousands of people, you motherfucker!
They all come out of the woodwork.
You're upset about an audio quality joke? Listen to my podcast. You'll get even right away.
What do you think of the other one, Threads? Have you used that at all?
I'm on Threads. It's okay. I don't think you'll get throttled there, but it's hard to gain momentum. Like, I don't have a lot of followers. Even my like Facebook friends aren't there. So I've got 70 followers and it's not going great.
I have an account also, but like I'll scroll on Facebook. I don't spend much time on Facebook anymore. Mostly go there for the Horror Syndicate stuff or whatever. But like if I'm just scrolling for fun on Facebook, I'll get like a Threads thing pop up, and it'll be some woman with giant breasts, and like it's every single one. It's like, come check out Threads, and it's a woman with giant breasts, and occasionally I'll click on it, and it'll be her bouncing her boobs around. I'm like, so is this what Threads is? It's just women bouncing the boobs all over the place, you know?
That's very funny you bring that up, because it has been a topic once in a while here. And I've brought it up because me and Erica were talking about how they target us for different ads and stuff, and different just basic, like, are you okay?
I just dropped my remote. I put my drink back up on the thing, and it knocked my remote over. So
I see. Yeah, yes. We talk about algorithm targeting all the time, because I will present the theory that if you open any man's Instagram and hit the search button, it will be nothing but scantily clad ladies.
Let's see how true that is.
I don't know. Yeah, try it. I don't know if it's just based on names, like Ray's a boy's name, let's show him breasts. Like, and now with the Threads thing, they're desperate for traffic on Threads, and so they don't mind getting shameless. They will show you anything you need to see. And I have noticed that also. I am not on Threads looking for anything like that. Frankly, that's the last place you'd need to do it.
Right.
But I didn't know it was happening on Threads. So, by the way, we have partial nudity.
Right. I think it's a feeding ground for OnlyFans. By the way, my search history on Instagram is, I don't know if you can see it, it's Robert Downey Jr. So I never get on there either. That's my last thing I searched. But the weird thing is, like, the images, because when you hit the search button, this is like, I don't know if you can see any of that, but look at, I don't know what that is. Is that John Cena, maybe?
Partial nudity. That looks like, is that one of the Paul brothers? I can't quite see very well. There, I see Superman and I see half naked women.
Yeah. So Superman, comic book stuff, that's par for the course for me.
It's one of my.
I don't need to go to Instagram or Threads to look at women if I want to do that.
I looked at my search history, and right up at the top is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Mark Rebele, who is a like DJ type guy, but he's the guy who does all those crazy, like he'll be in a hotel room and he's just got this random vibe going. And all of a sudden he like grabs his microphone, get the fuck up, let's go. And he was the guy yelling at people in the park to calm down and relax. Oh. he played something soothing for a minute, and then he's in a giant fur coat and he's yelling at people about, relax, take a chill pill. I don't have time for your fucking stress.
I'll have to look him up. That sounds awesome.
He's very funny. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking at. I don't, what am I going to do with the rest? Look at this.
I don't know, man. I don't get like the older I get, the less I understand social media.
Yes.
And it's weird because we were here when it was invented, and we've all gotten to test the waters for forever now. It seems like Facebook's been around. I think I've had my Facebook since 2008.
We were the kids. We were the kids who came online. This is our internet, and I don't understand what's happened to it. I've got a TikTok. I occasionally post on it. Occasionally, a post will do very well. I still don't know what I'm doing.
That's funny. I don't understand TikTok.
Real quick for the game development audience, you understand this is stuff you need to know, because if you don't have the social media presence and momentum there, what you're doing is never going to be seen. That's brutally harsh. and it's unfair, and it's true. It's true. Your projects will not be found. They will drown in an ocean of more popular influencer types. You don't have to be an influencer, but you do have to use this stuff and understand it. And that sucks.
Yeah. It's like with Unparalleled Comics. I'm not a TikTok person. It's a young person's game.
Yeah.
For Unparalleled, we opened a TikTok, and I was like, okay, I can edit images together and put a sound on it. I can do that. I think I can make that work. Yeah. And like I haven't touched it since right before Free Comic Book Day back in May, but we have 442 subscribers, and our numbers on our posts or whatever you want to call them have gone up. So I guess I know a little bit of something, but I still like, what would I do on TikTok? I mean, I know like I'm an avid fan of David Pakman from the David Pakman Show. He uses TikTok, but he uses clips from his shows from that. And that I get that, but like, how would that benefit me if I, because
I've tried it. I've done it with this show. What's that?
I said I'm selling myself short. I probably can do that stuff. Well, like I know, like with YouTube, like with the Horror Syndicate, we have 1,800 subs on YouTube, and that's something I definitely want. I'd love to get monetized. I talked to you about that earlier, and like I'm thinking about ways to do it, and I keep reading that these shorts, because people with their short attention spans are the way to go. I'm like, what would I do that would last less than I almost sound like Christopher Walken for a second. What would I do? But but would only be a minute long. I can't even think about it like that. Like, because, when I originally got on YouTube, I was thinking, okay, 10-minute videos, 13-minute videos. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, now I got to figure out how to do a minute video. What am I supposed to do?
That 10, 15-minute duration is cursed. You can't get anybody to watch. Like, if you've got Die Hard, real quick, the Horror Syndicate is your horror blog. /site/review destination. But
we got it all.
So shorts, super important. If you've got diehard followers, they will watch, like you guys do live podcasts, and people will watch those entire streams, hour plus, maybe 2 hour. I don't know how. Yeah. But in that sweet spot in the middle is actually quite a sour spot. Nobody wants to stick around. I've tried it, man. Oh, I've tried it. I've tried like one segment of a podcast. Nice, tidy 12 minutes. Nobody wants it.
Which is strange because when we were talking, I think it was last year or the year before that, we were trying to come up with a new idea to kind of reboot almost Nightfall Unlimited, our old stomping grounds, if you will.
Sure.
And that was one of the things we kept talking about. Well, Pakman, for instance, I like him quite a bit. I know it's a progressive political show, but like he does his show, and then he releases each segment in its own video, and they do very well. And I'm like, I don't think that works for everyone. I think it does work for him because maybe somebody doesn't have time to watch the entire show. And so I thought about doing that with my show, like the Horror Syndicate Discourse or the Horror Movie Massacre, where we segmentize everything. But I don't think that's possible with the way that our stuff is set up to do that. And at the same time, like, wouldn't that make you want to watch the full show? Like, I remember when we did Nightfall Unlimited, the podcast, I thought you did something, and I thought it was quite brilliant, really, is you take a snippet of the show, maybe a minute long, and this is where your shorts can come in, and it's a preview of the show. It'd be me and you having some kind of banter, and that was it. And it was like, okay, that gets you to want to watch the show. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think something like that is good. And I think you hit on something important. Things don't work for everybody. Like particular, like segmenting may work great for somebody listening. You should probably try it. I think the important thing is do a bunch of stuff, test out how you want to package it, try a few different things, and find out what takes off and run it into the ground. If it works, work it to death. Because, that's what people come to expect. If you look at like popular influencers, they will come up with one bit that that hit 1 million impressions, and they will do every possible variation of that till it's no longer interesting. And it doesn't matter if it's interesting or not, because if it keeps getting those numbers, you're getting paid. And so you kind of have to work the system, and it gets gross. You kill the magic behind all this stuff real fast. But as you said, we did little segments when we started podcasting and stuff. I wanted to push even further in that direction. You probably remember when I tried a couple of like scripted cold opens that we would like do little skits or something like that. And we had a big diverse cast and not everybody, it didn't work is what I'll say.
I do remember that. Yeah. I don't remember why it didn't work. I do remember whenever we tried to do ads and one of our guys couldn't read the words right or something.
I don't think he'd be mad if he knew we were talking about this, but God bless him. We've all got a few words that are hard to pronounce for whatever reason. I could probably think of several for myself, but for whatever reason, he could not pronounce Audible, which was like the leading sponsor of podcasts at the time. They're still one of the highest today. He said audible, total extra syllable in the middle there. And he said it a bunch of times until I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this in post, man. Thanks. Anyway.
It's like do that. It's like that episode of Friends. I don't know if you remember, if you ever watched Friends, but Joey was up for a part with Ross's son. And the line in the commercial was soup, and Joey kept saying noodle soup over and over again, and that's what it reminded me of. It was like, dude, it's not audible. There's no I there.
I've
or maybe there is.
And if you start getting into like producing stuff for the internet, you will find yourself in that situation eventually, and it sucks. Like it's really annoying.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I think. With the Horror Syndicate, we used to do maybe 30-second ads for the next episode, and I had trouble reading from my scripts that I would write for myself. It's like, why can't I speak the words I wrote? And I eventually got past that, but I don't know. Like I wonder, because I've always wanted to try acting, and I know that you either got it or you don't. But
I don't think that's true, though.
No. Well, I guess you can learn and over time become better. I guess it's just like muscle memory and practice. Just practicing things like baseball. You don't have to be an excellent athlete to be good at baseball or golf. Actually, I don't know about golf. I've never played. But anyway, what I'm saying is like I still would like to see if I could act, but then I look back at me trying to record these things. And the thing is, I'm in a room by myself. There's nobody watching me, and I still fumble over words somehow. Although I did get to do a voiceover for a commercial for my wife back in 2015, and I did quite well with that.
Oh, I recall. Yeah. That was interesting.
The commercial never aired, but I think I have a copy of it somewhere.
That's something. It is interesting writing for yourself and finding out that it's that it's unnatural. Like you write something that you are going to read yourself and you go like, I would never say this. And it's like, well, how did this happen?
It's funny because like I've noticed like when we do for Unparalleled Comics Kickstarters or Kickstarter videos or whatever, I'm way better going off the cuff rather than going off of a script. And it comes out 10 times better if I can improvise, I guess is the word, rather than read it exactly from the script. Because like when I worked for a bank for a while and we had to call and use a script, I hated it. It sounded so robotic, Yeah. And so when I started improvising, I started getting people more interested in talking to me. You know what I mean? So
they still probably went, don't improvise.
Yeah, they did. No, they did. You got to read from the script. I'm like, fine, I don't want to do this anymore. And I left. So
there you go.
And now I'm unemployed.
It is interesting finding out how much of that you're capable of, because obviously a good way to promote yourself or your brand or whatever is to do like influencer style, Instagram, TikTok stuff, whatever, YouTube, whatever. And I've tried a certain amount of that, just writing little joke bits and stuff when I was like trying to promote comedy writing. And here's a goofy thing that, me and Will did. And I acted out both parts and did something funny and stupid to myself. I think you surprise yourself, and you can kind of, if you're not born with it, which I'm certainly not, I think you can kind of brain power your way through it. You can go like, what would it require to do this better and make this look good and sound good and be funny? Like what's the funny part of this? How do I hone in on it and make it expand on it or whatever? And I've had some success doing that. It's just like, how much of it do you want to do? You have to decide that for yourself and then sort of build your plan around that. But I would encourage people to try it because it is a very good way to do everything now. And if you get good at that, then you get sponsorships and that can become its own thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I think there's kind of a stigma with influencers where a lot of people think it's just something women get. And that does happen. But no, there's many men in our position that can become an influencer. You probably could do it.
It's funny. The other day, I had just posted, I forget what I had done. I did some just silly goof, like 2 or 3 shot joke that I put on TikTok about fixing something around the house here. And somebody sent me a thing and went like, we would like you to, some of these are scams, but somebody was like,
Right.
we would like you to model our jewelry, like our men's jewelry.
Oh.
And they had
Become a hand model like George.
Yeah. They had shown me like people I could look up, and there were people out there modeling these people's jewelry. And I showed this to Erica and I was like, is this not the silliest thing you've ever seen? And she's like, I get 3 of those a week. So, to some degree, I think you're probably right. Like, she's not out there trying to do anything like this, but if you're a nice looking lady, let's be real. You're going to have some opportunities.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't care. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think I'm trying to get my fitness on so I can become an influencer? You know, like, yo, this is Ray. I got a case of stomach here.
Look at my washboard abs. I'm trying to get in better shape. I mean, like, the remote age is hard on all of us, and I just outfitted my office with the under desk treadmill there. I got the yoga ball to sit on. Like, my first step is I'm just like breaking up some of the sitting time because we both have a lot of sitting time if you're not careful. And I think a lot of people do now. It's kind of unnatural to be up and about all the time. And I'm trying to get better about that. The walks are great. Spike's helping me stay a little more active and everything. A big step is going to be my mouth. I eat like an idiot. And,
me too.
I was raised.
We've watched each other eat, so well, not exactly watch each other eat, but yeah,
we're what you call enablers.
Want to go to Chuck Wagon? Let's fill our face with $30 of food.
But I was raised going to Chuck Wagon. We all grew up going there, and we did too much of that, too much fucking Denny's. My dad, legend has it. My mom said this.
Legend has it.
My parents were only together till I was like 10. My mom said my dad took us to Denny's on my college fund that I think my grandparents started until it was gone. Depleted my college fund at Denny's. Now, there couldn't have been much to start with. But that's not great. But that's to say, we had the worst. Both my parents were terrible eaters. It was stupid.
I mean, it's Denny's.
Let me be clear. I like Denny's. Denny's is
yes, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like at least you got Denny's, I guess.
That's true.
Paying for part of your education would have been nice, I'm sure. But yeah,
higher education would have been awesome. But
the Superbird is just outstanding there.
I got occasional key lime pie, which is still my favorite thing to eat ever.
If I'm going there, it's either the nachos or it's the Superbird. That just knocks it out for me. That turkey and on sourdough, my goodness.
Those are both big hits with my whole family. We all love. Now Denny's is like a once, twice a year. Usually after a concert. Back in the day, you'd go to a concert and Denny's was still open. You could go to Denny's and get breakfast drunk at 2 a.m.
Right. I mean, that was the meetup place. Like, we would go out and do stuff. All my friends, from the ages of 18 to 23 or so, and it was like, all right, 2 o'clock, let's go to Denny's, and we'd be there till 5 or something like that. Yeah. Just sipping on whatever drink, coffee or soda or whatever it is, and eat some cheese fries or something.
If you've never thrown up behind a Denny's, you probably used your college fund that your family set up for you, and congratulations on that.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I've never thrown up behind a Denny's, but there's still time.
It's never too late.
Collinsville's ripe for the picking. So,
I wanted to bring up a a prophecy that you gave me that's been fulfilled. And this was, I think you said this many years ago, maybe on the Nightfall podcast, but I was asking you about the rise of virtual reality headsets. And I was a strong proponent of this. I said, this is going to be the future of gaming, and maybe it will. But you said I would never get one of those because I'm a parent. Do you remember saying that?
No.
You said, I'm a parent. You did. You said, I couldn't get this because I'm a parent. I can't cover my eyes and ears. You had small kids at the time.
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. Wow. That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And I recently upgraded from the Quest 1 headset to the Quest 2 headset. Do you want to know how many times I've used the Quest 2 headset since it showed up?
Twice.
0.
I've
had it a couple of months, I think.
I
haven't gotten, and they're sort of wrapping up support for the Quest 2, so it may never get used. Yeah, well, they've got a Quest 3 now, so
yeah, and
fucking Facebook.
Saying that, I don't mean to be like, because like whenever you read it to me back, I'm like, oh, that sounds jerky, but no, that makes sense. Like if you're a parent, you can't not be there, not be.
You have to be aware
present.
and alert.
You have to be present. Yeah,
present is good.
Exactly. I mean, playing Xbox is one thing, but my eyes and my ears are not covered. If I was a single dude, whatever that I wouldn't care about. But man, there's so many dangerous things that I feel like with these, sensory deprivation. Video gaming basically is what it is, because you're turned off to the rest of the world. I mean. What if somebody came to your house and robbed you while you're in the middle of questing, I guess, and I got the chance to play one at my friend Carlos's house last year. And I got to tell you, if I need a way to lose weight fast, I just need to play that because I sweat so hard playing that. And not to mention, I got really dizzy. Me in first person shooters.
It's a pretty good way to get a workout. Like some of those games like Beat Saber is a great one. And they understand the assignment and they're starting to put out more games where you can do like very active things. Also some cool, like the meditation app. I don't remember what they call it. It's pretty cool, but I'm with you. Like suddenly we're at a point where if my son gets invested in something, he's big into Minecraft right now. He's building like architectural masterpieces where it's like, Dad, I designed an aquarium today. That's the latest thing he did. He's like, I built this like 2-story building with 6 like giant fish tanks in it. And I've got, this one is where the puffer fish are. And this one is salmon. And there's a sea turtle in there. And I look and I take this tour of this thing. It's incredible. So he gets real invested in that. I've got a minute where I could do one of a few things. I could catch up my journal, which I've got sitting here just out of frame. I could work on some code for something, or I could play like either a mobile game or maybe something on my laptop for a minute until he gets bored and wants to do something else. We're also homeschooling still, and I can work with him on the next thing. What I can't do, and I've tried it, and it doesn't really work. I can't throw the headset on. It has its own speakers if you don't want to put in earbuds or big headphones. It's still no way. I don't even want to do that with a person around.
Right.
And one of the first times I did it, I heard Erica's, she'd never admit to this, but I heard her camera phone go off and I knew it looked stupid. And she took a picture of me in some stupid pose, I'm sure.
My buddy Carlos took a video of me playing the game. Yeah.
It's natural. Great. I don't fault anyone for it. I understand how it looks.
Take the opportunity.
Enjoy. In my defense, I've only ever had these things in the house, and I've had 2 or 3 in the house now when I'm contracting with like a VR studio or something. And that's something we've got one in St. Louis here that does big business. They've always got stuff on the move. So anytime I want to do like extra work, they've got stuff for me. Honestly, I thought I would be like a hardcore VR guy, and I'm absolutely not. And it's probably because I'm not alone in this house, like you said,
Yeah, and I could see where that would be pre-child Todd for sure. That I could see you being into something like that. But I feel like even when I was married, I don't think I could turn myself off to the rest of the world. my wife at the time wouldn't have been happy with me doing it. She didn't like me even podcasting. Did I ever tell you that?
I had a sense. I had a suspicion.
She had a good reason. She, didn't have much time she had left, and she wanted to spend as much with me as she could.
I totally get that. Together as a couple, you guys were, hang out together people. And when that was interrupted, friends, really. I of course, and I completely understood the vibe. Like, it's a calm night. The kids are asleep, this and that. Get out. I understand. I get it. I feel that way all the time now. I completely, and we're very much the same way. Like, if we had a free night, it would be like, you want to start an episode of a show from 5 seasons ago, like 5 years ago, that we've been trying to watch for 5 straight years. Would you like to watch something on TV? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
she's off right now, actually. And
really?
It's a very rare night off. She works so much that I have a problem that I assume every night she's working, and I won't look. I won't look at the schedule. I'll assume, and we're both, doing stuff remotely now, but I'll look at I'm like, she hasn't signed in yet to work. And I'll look at the calendar and go, oh, she doesn't work till Thursday. So
tell her I'm sorry.
She gets it. She's fine. And
I'm sure
actually, I took Will out to the golf course today, and it was like 4 or 5 hours. There's no short trip to play golf, and it's not completely my thing, but he's very excited about it. His uncle came with us. We had a really nice time, but I'm so tired, and it took all day, and there was so much stuff. That's what parenting is. Like, there's so much you could do. This is more important. It's important to him, and that's fine. I forget where I was going with that, but she encouraged me, like, grab a shower before your thing, go to the office early if you need to. And just try to relax, and probably because I was radiating stress. I don't know.
Radiating stress, and then somebody had to show up late. I mean,
and then for 20 minutes, no, I was reading articles and stuff. I was checking out what's going on in the industry, which brings us to my dog is snoring. He's now scratching himself and slamming the chair. This all probably sounds crazy.
I can't hear anything.
Okay. The noise cancellation is very good then.
Yeah.
Are you aware of game industry layoffs right now?
No, I'm not. I know that the last few things I've heard about with the industry, and honestly, like, because I used to pay attention to things, but all the stuff that went down with Ubisoft a few years ago with their harassment and all that, the way they were treating women and stuff like that, I kind of
comes and goes, honestly.
Yeah. So, but no, what's been going on?
We're having, for several years now, we've had record-breaking years of studios, massive AAA studios making the games you know and love, having giant layoffs after almost every game, sometimes in the middle of a game. Games come out and do really well, record-breaking sales and stuff, and they will wipe out 25-35% of the staff. And my theory, it's crazy. A lot of my friends have been affected at this point. They'll get laid off, they'll get rehired, and then laid off again. I know one person that's happened to, which is awful. Several people who I interviewed in my book in previous episodes, and then they made it into the book, no longer at the studios they were at. Some are looking for jobs right now. And I'm one. So, like, everybody on Twitter is part of this whole big community where we know about this and we're all mad about it together. But I kind of suspected, I don't think players know about this. Now, like, the hardcore gamer, like the angry people who are doing some of the harassing and stuff, they're on Twitter and they're aware of it and they're sort of taking it out on the wrong people. But I think the everyday, like, God-fearing Xbox players and PlayStation people, I kind of suspected they are not really aware of this, or they'd be mad for us also. I say us, mad for them also. I'm mad for them. That's interesting. I'm a little surprised that you didn't know, but I'm also not surprised. Like, how would you get that information?
I mean, like, I used to be, like, for a long time, partially because of what we were doing with Nightfall, I was in tune to that, and a lot of it had to do with being on Twitter, and being off Twitter. I don't see as much of that stuff because I feel like on Facebook, for instance, it's easier to kind of make your own. It's easier to kind of see what you want to see on there, and you got to search it out. Where I was still following a lot of the people in that industry on Twitter, and when I got rid of my Twitter 2 years ago, I guess it was, I stopped seeing all gaming industry stuff almost completely. Like to where at one point I'm like, I had no clue what video games were coming out, and I had to go back to Facebook because that's where I get my information when it comes to that stuff, and start finding these studios and that's the only one I really paid attention to was Rockstar and Ubisoft, because those are the games I play the most, with Red Dead and almost every Assassin's Creed game. Valhalla I didn't really care for.
Mm-hmm. I've got Ubisoft stuff that I like and play. I really don't like the way they run their business, though. It's getting harder for me. Mm-hmm. Everything's a cash grab.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. A lot of the problem, I don't know if it started with Origins when they had, especially like if you go back to even with EA is really bad about that stuff. And I don't support EA almost at all, because even still they do that with the Madden games. It's Ultimate Team and you got to buy these packs. But every company, I think the height of that is about over. I could be wrong. But the microtransactions and all that bullcrap.
We've landed on another interesting one that you don't know about, which is there is a huge shift happening across almost all studios, from regular games with updates, DLC, the stuff and that you're either okay with or you're just not going to do. Almost all these studios are switching to games as a service, where it's like, if you subscribe, you can play the whole game. And if you don't, it's basically useless. And so it's like subscription plus DLC plus buy your little gyms to buy your little shirts and stuff. And there's less game all the time. And it's really unfortunate, but there have been industry surveys where almost every studio said yes, we're planning on doing this. So I think it might get worse before it gets better.
Yeah. Cause I don't remember what year it was. I watched this whole press conference with Ubisoft where they talked about it's mostly Assassin's Creed related, and they talked about all the titles they have planned for the next decade or so. And one of the things they talked about was a pay-to-play service, and I was like, if that's a thing, I'm probably out on that. I don't want to pay. I'll pay for the game. I don't care about that because we've been doing that for decades, of course. But I don't want to a subscription service to play Assassin's Creed, which is what it basically was. I can't remember what the service was called. And I don't know if it's even still happening, but it's just not. I have no interest in doing that. I know Xbox has changed their Xbox Live and all that stuff. It's actually Game Pass now, I think.
Game Pass Ultimate, that whole thing.
Yeah. And that's fine, but they also have subscription services too with that, or
right,
something along those lines. It's I don't like that. Almost, I'm not a fan of this. I'd rather own the game outright, and it's, I don't know. I don't know if I'm wrong or speaking out of place. I mean, I could be, but it's not something I'd be into. I don't know how anybody could be.
No, let me put a nice bow on that for you with this story, which I've not told on the podcast just because I wasn't recording when it happened. Okay, so Ubisoft has their subscription service called Ubisoft Plus.
Right.
I signed up for that because it was the cheapest way to try the latest game in the Crew series, which was Motorfest. We like our racing games around here. We're big racers. So I wanted to play.
Brett told me that's a great game, by the way.
It's decent. It's supposed to compete with Forza Horizon, and it kind of does. But we started playing it. I let Will play these games because they're open world, and he doesn't have to do a complicated race with minimum drift points you have to get or whatever it is. He can just drive around, look at stuff, and when he's done, he's done. So that worked fine with the Crew too. He did that for a long time. I had brought my Xbox out of my office to put in the living room when we moved. So what was previously my personal Xbox went out to the living room, and so it didn't have parental controls on it. Two things. We were subscribed to Ubisoft Plus to play this game, and we were also subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate, which was Xbox Live, Game Pass, the extra fee so you could play PC games through Xbox. Maximum Xbox, we had everything. So, one thing you can do with Game Pass is they've got little challenges you've probably seen where you get points and you can redeem points for like a gift card or a month of Xbox Live, whatever you want.
I do that.
I did that too. And
like logging into the app gets you points, playing a game for X amount of time. Yeah.
Easy daily stuff, achievements in certain games, any of that. So several
Even
times.
buying games helps you get money on the gift card.
Right.
Get your points. Yeah.
2 times in the previous year, I had redeemed my points for like a $5 or $10 Xbox card, which, and I thought like, great, cool. Because I spend a lot of money and a lot of time on this. It's nice to get something back. And I liked that. So anyway, my son, I handed him the controller to play Motorfest, and I, to put it politely, had to go take a shit. So I went to do that. A few minutes later, I started getting emails on my phone that were confirming Microsoft transactions.
Oh.
And I went, uh-oh, what's happened? And I looked at one. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And then 2 more came in rapid succession. And I ran pants down out of the bathroom and yelled, whatever you're doing, stop. What he was doing was all he had done. He's a smart kid, but all he had done was he had the controller and was just pressing A. And just pressing A like 1 or 2 too many times, because the first thing Ubisoft fucking does is throw this storefront in your face. Oh, there's a sale on this stupid car nobody gives a shit about, and it costs $30 fucking dollars. So he had spent $75 in like 3 minutes. And it wasn't his, again, it's not his fault. He's not supposed, first of all, I should have had, this is on me. I should have had the parental controls on. I didn't because I had moved the Xbox at the wrong time. But they know what they're fucking doing. Like they understand what they're doing. They understand the possibility this is going to happen. So I went to Xbox because Xbox is actually very good about this stuff. You used to see these articles where like, my child spent $500 on FIFA. And now we're just out money and I'm suing and all this stuff. And I thought like, watch your kid. Okay, well, I should have watched my kid. But so I knew that Xbox was much better about this these days and they would refund it. So I went to Xbox and you know what they told me? You've had too many refunds this year. And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I haven't had a refund from Xbox in like 8 or 9 years. And I can tell you the only time I've ever done it was I downloaded like Guitar Hero 4 or whatever the last one was. And I found out that I needed to buy it physically because there was a part I needed for my guitars or they wouldn't work. So I asked them to refund it because I was just going to go buy it anyway. And well, did you know about this? Did you research this? And I said, look, nobody told me about the part. There was no way I could have known this. Please refund it this one time. And okay, no problem, fine. They refunded the money. Okay. In the last year, the only thing I had done twice was those redeemed gift cards from the Game Pass points. They counted those. The way they processed that in their system is as a refund on your account. And because I had had 2 of those gift cards, they said that I had reached my limit for refunds for the year. And so they gave me like a total of $10 on those cards, maybe 15. And I was screwed on $75. Accidental transactions. We never spent the money. We never used the thing. I uninstalled it, canceled Ubisoft. I canceled Game Pass for like 6 months. I said, look, you may as well do it because otherwise I'm going to cancel this service until we've made back like twice this amount because fuck that. Like, okay, it was a mistake. It was like 2 people made a mistake and now I'm just screwed and they didn't give a shit. I've been a customer of Microsoft's. I've been doing this like 17, 18 straight years. I was the first year of Xbox Live I was on. They didn't give a fuck. And I've collabed with Microsoft. I went to GDC with Microsoft. They didn't give a shit. On Twitter, I said like one day, look, I can't stop Microsoft or force Microsoft to do anything, but one day I'm going to make a game you guys are going to want. You're not going to fucking get it. It's not going to happen.
Nope. I'm
powered by spite. That's my life. I got all the time in the world.
Start your own spite gaming company.
Yeah. Spite Studios, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I'm still mad about that. As you can see.
I got lucky with them because I think I told you about all the charges we got because Reynolds was being bullied on Xbox Live.
I
4
didn't
or 5
realize
years
that.
ago. Yeah, he got these two guys telling him to buy them games. It was like $2,000 worth of stuff. Yeah. Luckily, I got a big chunk of it back because they could only go back so far, and they canceled those Xbox accounts for the two people that were bullying him, and yeah, it was really bad.
Holy
But
shit,
they were
dude.
understanding. Yeah, well,
I
they
feel
could
bad for
go
running
back.
my mouth. That's way worse.
No. I mean, don't feel bad because I know they were difficult to deal with in the first place, and I was like, can you read the messages that these guys sent to my son? Because I can tell you what and they're like, yes, we can. And they went back and read them. They're like, okay, there's definite bullying here, but we can only go back a certain amount of time. And I'm like, that's fine. Just come on. He didn't buy these for himself, obviously, and that again, parental control. I had to put the parental control on his Xbox, and anytime he wants to make a purchase, it has to go through me. So,
Right.
yeah.
We've got it locked down now, and it's super obnoxious. Like every time he wants to like play Rocket League for a minute, I got to put in a 6-digit code.
But what you're saying though is true, because like even on Assassin's Creed, you know, when I popped in Mirage for the first time, the first thing it showed, it's like a dashboard that has, there's a really small section that says play game. There's a big section that shows you what is on sale right now. Then there's another big section over here that shows you the store. Then another section over here that shows you all the DLC. So like the really small section to play is why would that be the smallest thing? Everything else is to buy something, and it starts you off in the position to buy the latest thing or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. And you know, I love Assassin's Creed. Like, you know how much I love Assassin's Creed. It's one of my favorite series of all time. And if it wasn't for my love for that franchise, I probably would never play it again, based off just the way they set up their damn homepage, or start screen, I guess is what you could call it.
Right.
It's like, that's ridiculous.
You want to talk design for a minute? This is why I fault Ubisoft for this, because like you said, the actual option to play is like squirreled away in a settings screen somewhere. Like that's an exaggeration, but it's stupid how forcefully they push you towards. They do this with every one of their series now. Every series is a storefront. And I wrote about this at CodeWritePlay.com for anybody interested, but in an article called something like, it's no surprise that Ubisoft killed The Crew, because they took the first game from the series out of the stores. You can't download it. You can't play it. And you can notice them doing this thing. First of all, they've got these insane pressure storefronts in all their games now. The other thing they've switched is they will no longer name a game something like Assassin's Creed 2, The Crew 2, because when you hear that, you go, oh, well, if there's a 2, there's a 1. I should go back and play the old one. The old games don't have this microtransaction bullshit. Some of the series probably do, but a lot of them, they've learned a lot of tricks about how to make you spend money fast, like my kid accidentally did. And so now it's actually a liability if you go back and play The Crew 1. You'll waste a bunch of time when they won't get their extra money and their extra purchases and stuff.
No, they don't care about the initial game purchase anymore. And I think, like, if you look at a company like Rockstar, they have a big problem. That's why they gave up on the supporting the online RDR2 online, because they had no microtransactions. You could buy gold bars.
Yeah.
And gold bars can get you things like outfits. That's about it.
Yeah.
And for somebody like me I'm level like 280 something, and I've got anything that you could, like all the rolls and everything that you could buy with gold bars, that's pointless for me. Where Grand Theft Auto, you can buy upgrades to houses and all this different stuff, and they only support. Think how old Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5 is. It 5? Yeah, 5. Grand Theft Auto. Think how old that is. I think it's an 11-year-old game now, and they're still supporting it. But the Red Dead Redemption 2, it's still kind of old, 6 years old. They stopped supporting the online probably in 2020 or 2021 because there was no microtransactions. Like they still do some updates, mostly like, like it's collector month, we have XP bonuses on collector things or whatever, but like they still are supporting Grand Theft Auto 5 because it's a cash cow. When Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a way better game, is not a cash cow, and that sucks. I'm glad that EA got called out and they fixed their problem with Battlefront 2, the Star Wars game. I don't know if you remember that, but that was a big deal a few years ago. And I'm glad that they got called out because that was ridiculous. It's like you have to, in order to be any good at the game, you have to pay. That shouldn't be. This is a mobile game thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many mobile games. Like, I played a Star Wars game. I think it was called Jedi Force Arena. I think that's what it was called. Super fun game. You go head to head with somebody else. But if you get to a certain level, you can tell they're buying all the upgrades. Where I was playing without purchasing anything and doing well, but I could never even come close to taking on the people that you could tell were buying the upgrades because, they had, these certain packages you could get that it was ridiculous. I hate that. The pay to play to win the game. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I'd rather just play offline anyway. You know what I mean?
That's a huge topic in the development community also, because those of us who grew up excited about games, they were a magical thing to us, and we grew up wanting to make the kinds of games we played as kids. Those games will be strangled to death upon release by these other games that are like, download this thing from Supercell and you get free gems for 3 days, and they addict you to this stupid loop that's pointless, and then like 3 days later you're just this strung out zombie playing this thing while there's a very good game you're never going to hear of in your entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened to my app. My app was like, even in education stuff for kids, that's what I did for my first game. You've got like fucking ABC Mouse, which is this like subscription learning thing, which is like way lower quality than what I was doing. And I had teachers come tell me like, this makes way more sense than the stuff we're using in classrooms. And I said, great, it costs $1 forever. That's it. And no one bought it. Because they were already paying ABC Mouse $20 or whatever it is. That's not a good example because I'm not sure what the details were, but that's the one that's got this stuff on lockdown. So it's permeated everything in our culture, which is crazy.
It's awful. And I play mobile games, like nothing like that Jedi one. I stopped playing, but like I play, let me look what they're called. Like there's one game that I play just because I'll just flat out tell you, it's kind of soothing to play, just to lay down and relax. It's called Hex something or other. It's one of those Hex tile games,
Sure.
But I'll play Toon Blast is the one I play a lot. Just one of those games you play to kill time, doctor's office, whatever. But like there's times that I'll get stuck on a level and then it'll pop up and tell me for $9.99 you could buy all these. I'm like, no. I'll be fine. That my lives will reset in a couple hours. I'll be okay. And there are people though that. And I know because on that one, I'm in a group of people because you can help teammates out by giving them lives and stuff like that. But they go in a feeding frenzy, and these people will like purchase these game passes for $10 every week. Yeah. And when they purchase it because it says, hey, this person purchased this, you get 10 cents into your 10 gold bars or whatever it is into your loot. Because your teammate purchased that. I'm like, why are you guys spending $10 a week on this game? Because that makes me wonder, that's got to be a slippery slope. If you're spending $10 on these game passes, what if are you spending money on just buying like easy ways out of some of these levels too? I don't know. I just don't. I've never liked this model of gameplay. Where you got to pay for stuff.
Yeah, and it goes deeper than you realize. I have thought about trying to fill a book with this at some point, like finding certain people, interviewing them like on a regular basis for say 4 or 5 months as they do this stuff, because it's actually pretty wild. There are a few like sort of hardcore mobile games. Like one is Star Trek Fleet Command. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Diablo Immortal is one that more people have heard of, but there are a couple of these with very intricate, complicated systems. And Star Trek Fleet Command is one that when you start to play it, it doesn't look like there's a lot to it, but the mechanics go real deep. And as you level up, they open up quite a bit. You have to basically align yourself with a clan of some kind at some point. And as these clans get more powerful and they're like warring over control of space in this nonsensical little game, you start to find clans where there's a requirement that you spend so much money per month on the game. And I mean, these people are doing it like it's a job, and you cannot earn that back at all. Like you
That's
can't
silly.
cash out the currency. You can't, as far as I know, there's nothing you can do to like earn any time or money back. And the gameplay is almost nothing. You're not actively doing the combat. You tell the ship to do it and the ship does it for you while you eat a sandwich or whatever. And people spend a fortune, and the players have this complicated unspoken rule set. You can find this on the web where they've come up with like 10 or 11 rules that all players are to follow. And it's like just enforced by the players. It has nothing to do with the studio. It's actually really interesting. And if I did a book about that, I think they'd probably make a documentary. Like it gets that interesting. And I just, meanwhile, a million indies are creating games that are like so worth playing and nobody knows.
Yeah.
And that's why I bring people like you on to talk about like you've mastered social media. You know what to do on Facebook. Like you're very good at Facebook. You're very good at having a website where you make content. Like people need to know that stuff because it's your only chance.
There's one game I should mention that I don't know if you checked out. It's called Deep Rock Galactic. Have you heard of that one?
I've played that. It's fun.
Yeah, I can't play it, unfortunately.
It's a little like motion intense.
First person, yeah, it'll kill me. For those who don't know, I cannot play first person games at all. They can make me dizzy. I have that, whatever that is.
The action gets pretty fast in that game.
Yeah, I noticed. I've watched Reynolds and my brother-in-law and my nephew all play that, and they have a blast. And they're like, I wish you could play it. I'm like, just sounds like you're rubbing it in, so stop.
Yeah,
but yeah, it
cool.
looks like a fun game, and that's an indie game that didn't cost them much money, and and the support for it's really good because they're having different seasons with different campaigns, and yeah, I mean they're taking care of the game like most publishers should.
That was on Game Pass for a while. It might still be there.
I don't think it is anymore, but yeah, Reynolds, I ended up getting it for him for like $4. It was like $4,
That's
and
crazy.
it's an indie game. It looks great. I mean, other than the motion sickness stuff for me, but they have a blast with it, and I hear them and I'm jealous. And what am I gonna do? I tried glasses. That wasn't the thing to fix it, but.
Oh my God. I tried reading glasses on the walking treadmill the other day and I almost fell out that window. It was the wrong move.
Next time, record that.
I just went in and like upped the resolution on my monitors instead because like the edges of the reading, they were cheap reading glasses too. It was probably a bad idea. In general, are you, as like a standard player, are you aware of indie games? Like, are you aware of when a game is indie, or do you think it's driven by like, this seems lower budget? Like, are you aware of the studios themselves? Do you know who made Deep Rock Galactic?
I don't know the name of them. I came across that because of my brother-in-law, but
Sure.
I know that some Xbox on their dashboard, when you go to gaming, they have a section assigned for indie, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, you can tell what a AAA game is versus an indie game, I think, when it comes down to it, especially with, marketing, because indie games don't get almost any marketing, really, marketing alone, like, that's going to be, that's Ubisoft or that's EA or whoever, I think that's one of the big things. Like, because when Jake mentioned that, he heard of Deep Rock Galactic, I was like, no, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's an indie game. I was like, well, that's why I've never heard of it. So
yeah, unfortunately, that's a good way to.
It is unfortunate. It's just like comics.
That topic is interesting because there was not an indie game called Dave the Diver recently. It was made by like $1 billion company. People didn't realize it because they used like a sub label instead of their studio name, and it actually won at least one indie award, and everybody went like, "What the fuck?" And they had made a lower budget game, and they intentionally fooled. I can't say intentionally. I don't know that. They effectively fooled everyone because everybody was like, that's a great indie game. It's like, So, and that's why I think about that sometimes.
What's it called?
It's like Dave the Diver. I haven't played it. It's apparently a really fun game, but it's not indie.
Oh, it looks like it's indie though. It has the hallmarks. You don't see like on the cover art, for instance, you don't see a developer name or anything like that. It's just in the graphics. I mean, they look so simple, like, I
suspect this might have been intentional. It's hard to prove.
I bet it was. Who made this?
I forget the name of the company, but
Nexon.
That's a really, really high market value studio. Corporation, I should say.
Mint Rocket is the developer, which when I click on that, it goes to Nexon.
Yeah, they call it a sub-label, which is what you want to call a team when you don't want them when you don't want players to know that your corporation made the game. Which okay, right. There's no law, you know what I mean? But that's
Is it the same thing as like where I have with my comics? We are under the umbrella of Unparalleled Comics, but I have my imprint, which is Nightfall Media. Is that kind of because is this a Square Enix company?
It's the same. I don't know the answer to that. It could be.
Well, I'm looking at some of their titles, and I'm seeing things like Counter-Strike, Final Fantasy 14, Ghost in a Shell.
So all in the family.
The FIFA Online 4. Yeah, it's all in that same family. So it's a definitely that's rude.
Right.
That's rude.
I would say it is the same mechanism, but you're not using it to do that. Like it's also not hard to find out who is behind your comics because, you know, Unparalleled is on there. You know what I mean? And comic companies do this on occasion. There are good reasons to use a sub-label for, I mean, music recording labels do this also, but I don't know, maybe they're trying to do the same thing. That's kind of shitty. Because my argument is there are indies out there who shouldn't have to put up with this shit, you know?
No, I don't think they should. That kind of sucks. It's winning awards for indie gaming when it's produced by a bigger company with a smaller label. That's BS.
That's why you were valuable here, because I didn't know, being in the position I'm in, what do the players around me notice? What are their impressions? That's valuable. I mean, people will appreciate hearing your level of awareness on this.
It's almost nil, really, because I mean, if I don't seek it out on, like if I don't go to the indie games tab on the Xbox dashboard, if I'm looking at games, or if they don't have an indie game sale, I'll never know. I mean, there are some games that you know for sure are indie because they have that reputation, like
sure.
What's that one game that's black and white with the spiders and stuff?
Like Limbo or
Limbo, yeah, like something like that. You know, like, and sometimes there are earmarks. You see a game that's side scroll, for instance. Generally, that's not something, you know, that you're going to see from a bigger company put out, unless it's like a sub game, like Assassin's Creed Japan. You know, one of those games or something like that. But even so, like, you know, I do have a bunch of indie games. Like there's this heavy metal themed indie game that I have. It's side scroll though, and the graphics they that's another thing I've seen with some indie studios where they'll try to go be cute and make it like 8-bit or something like that. You know,
right?
You don't see that from bigger studios.
Spike keeps farting. Now he's looking at me in my eyes.
That's what dogs are for, man.
It's like taking credit for it.
It's like, was that you? Never Alone was a good one. I don't know if you ever played that one. That's not a metal game, but Slain. It's called Slain, yeah.
Okay.
Slain Back from Hell. Fun game. Super fun game. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually kind of hard too, but it's fun.
Last night I tried Against the Storm, which is a city building game with like sort of a fantasy medieval theme. I like city building games. I didn't know this about myself until recently. Ever since I was small, like I felt like I had enough chaos in my life, and I liked games that were like productive and neat and organized in nature. Tetris was an easy one for me, like an obvious fit because you're fitting things together and getting them out of the screen. Anything like that. If I can make something, organize something, or manage something, I'm very into that.
I've never really tried any since the days of Roller Coaster Tycoon or The Sims or anything like that.
Good examples, though.
Yeah. There was, you know, Theme Park Tycoon or something like that. They were a lot of fun, but I haven't done anything close to that. Like, I looked at my nephew plays Minecraft, and I watched that. I'm like, I don't get this. I felt like ancient when I saw him playing that. I'm like, I don't understand this at all. But good job.
I think
You know?
I think our generation baked this into the genes for these kids because they can do stuff we weren't able to do.
Yeah.
Like if you had put us in front of Minecraft in the 1990s, our brains would have fucking exploded.
Yeah, probably. Like,
I would have passed out when I saw.
Think about the games we were playing back in the early 90s, especially. Most of them were just side scroll. I mean, when the I guess it would be it'd be earlier than the PlayStation, maybe the Sega CD. But think about when 3D games started happening, or like when the 64 happened and everybody was all blocky. I mean, that was like a complete culture shock in my brain. Like, I don't even know what to do. Like the first time I played a 2-stick game, where you had to use, it was a shoot. It was Star Wars Battlefront, actually, the very first one in 2003 or 4. And like, everything I had played up to that point had fixed cameras, and it's like I had to use both thumbsticks to move, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I couldn't imagine like now, like Reynolds can pick up any game. Of course, he's 15, but he can pick up any game, and he's like a master at it. Like, I can't believe how crazy he is with Gears of War, for instance. Like, he watched me play that for so long, and he always like, I want to be as good as you one day. That kid, I can't even keep up with him on that game.
We've got that happening here with golf games. Like, he's starting to get very good at we have the Arcade 1-Up classic Golden Tee machine down in the kitchen, actually, because this is a transitional place to live for us, and we're going to break ground on the new house next week. So,
oh man,
that's
you're going to get a shovel?
Will's, you say that, but Will's grandpa spray painted a shovel gold.
Did he really?
So that Will could take it out and do the first scoop out there. And so we're going to be doing that. I
hope you film it, so I want to see it.
Fun photos and videos are on the way. But yeah, he picks up these golf games and Dad, I got another hole-in-one on Golden Tee. I was like, I don't think that game has hole-in-ones, buddy. Yeah, he turns on the volume and it's like, it's going off like a slot machine. Yeah, these kids. And like when we were that age, like you said, we struggled with new technology as it came out. We got it, but like even when like GoldenEye hit the Nintendo 64, we were like, how many hands do I need for this weird controller? And like the C buttons do what? And what it looks like now is when you put a VR headset on an old person and they accidentally run through the second story window because they're playing a football game and they're trying to get around a blocker, or they're in Walmart and they like run from a zombie and knock themselves out by hitting the wall. That's what that's what technology does when we're not quite prepared for it. That would have been us, is my theory. I don't know. I think if you had shown me Minecraft when I was 12 years old, I would have shit myself and passed out. I
don't know if I'd have been able to do it. I mean, my 12 years old is a little bit different than your 12 years old, because mine was the Super Nintendo had yet to come out, I think, at that point. Maybe it had come out at that point. I can't remember offhand. But
weren't ready for that 3D mode on Super Nintendo.
I'm trying to think when Super Nintendo came out.
That blast processing set you back.
Dude, that's when the Super Nintendo came out. It blew us all away. I'm not even joking. Those 16-bit graphics, man.
I was even younger. I was like, I didn't think that was possible. Holy shit!
I think that was 91 or 92, so maybe the Super Nintendo was around then. But still, even so, most games back then on the SNES are all basically side scrollers, especially action games that I played. I mean, the first time I ever played a football game, it was a side view Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
That game was awesome. Still is, by the way.
Yeah, another classic. We got to cut this off at some point, I guess.
Yeah.
You should
gotta get the kids ready for bed.
Right. Let people know what's going on with Unparalleled Comics right now and the Horror Syndicate if you like, and they can decide what to do with that information.
With the Horror Syndicate, we have a show every Wednesday night called Horror Movie Massacre, starring myself as the host, along with Seth Miller, and we generally go through a franchise of movies and talk about things we like, don't like, and then we have what we call a slash score, where it's like a Rotten Tomatoes score, basically. And then at the end of the time, we rank the franchise. And then the Horror Syndicate also on Facebook, we are doing the Summer of Slashers right now, where I'm posting stuff about different slasher movies that maybe not be seen by everyone. And it's a good time. And we're also doing 5-star ratings on different movies, gearing up for Alien Romulus coming out this week, and we'll be talking about that at some point on the show. And then with Unparalleled Comics, absolutely nothing is happening.
Crickets.
With Unparalleled Comics, we're hoping to launch Kickstarters for Dragonfly #4 and Operation Eclipse #5. Operation Eclipse may come first. And in October, we're very excited for the launch of Alex Ghost by Drew Rose and Dave Tickner. Really cool comic. It's going to go along with that time of year, the spooky season. So look forward to that and follow Unparalleled Comics on TikTok.
Hey.
And mostly on Facebook and Instagram, stuff like that. I don't know if we even have a Twitter.
Well, that's fine. I think you do. I think I follow it. The upshot is, for a while ahead, you tagged in my bio, so you're definitely on Twitter somewhere. The upshot is that you've successfully put together a whole comics company that has multiple series running, all kickstarted, all people who are basically investing their time into the future, and you've come up with compelling, interesting stuff, which people should check out. I think it's neat.
I appreciate that.
And it's getting bigger every year.
Yep, it's been a fun ride. I'm just happy that some of the stuff you read when we started Nightfall Comics years ago is actually has come to light.
I love that. I love
really
that.
Good feeling.
Those things from way back have finally seen the light of day. People are reading them, and people are enjoying them.
Yeah, we have a nice little following, and there a lot of people are really excited about the next couple issues coming out. And I'm really excited to get past issue 4 of Dragonfly because the next arc is phenomenal. Which you read the first issue.
Yeah,
but once you get to issue 6, it's going to go a little bit crazy, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited. I got a lot of stuff on like horror comics that I'm planning. A Shark Horse comic that I'm planning. Oh, have I got a story to tell you?
Big stories behind that.
Yes,
for another time.
The co-conspirator. I got to tell you about what's going on with that person.
Oh, geez. Let me wrap up with a quick hypothetical, because in my head, I just realized Facebook owns the Quest headset. Mm-hmm. They own Instagram. They own Facebook, obviously. They own Threads.
Yes.
Do you think as they get desperate enough for traffic on the Quest headset, traffic on Threads, do you think they'll start to show you the half-naked people in the VR headset when you're trying to do completely unrelated things? Like, would you like to see what's behind this? It's exactly what it looks like.
We can only hope.
And, through no fault of our own, then someone in the house goes, "What do you do on that headset? Let me look at it right now. What do you have on it right now?"
Right.
Jackass.
No, this is mine.
Yeah. Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. Break it in half. Throw it out the window real fast. Nothing. I didn't have anything on my head.
That's when you do the thing where you pretend to accidentally run through the window to the driveway outside.
Yes.
Thanks, Ray. This has been fun.
Yeah. It's always fun talking to you. Chuck Wagon soon.
Chuck Wagon soon.